Very good evening, everyone. So before starting with mobile application testing experience, I will just give me my brief background. So I have overall 8 years of experience in software testing. So around half of my experience is in mobile application testing. So over the next half an hour, I'll try to add something meaningful. I'll try to convey something meaningful to all of you. So before starting any mobile application testing, we need to understand what kind of application we are testing. So yeah, so there are basically three type of mobile testing in the market: the mobile web, hybrid native, and the pure native applications. So the basically the mobile web applications are the websites which we can use or browse through our mobile browser. Hybrid applications are the web views inside the native container. So this is basically a combination of native and web. And the pure native is the dedicated applications developed for any of the platform, whether it is Android or whether it is iOS. So in Android, these applications are getting developed in Java or Kotlin. In case of iOS, it is Objective C or Swift. So we need to have a good understandings, then only we will be able to do the correct automation or manual testing of the application. So yeah, before starting any manual or any automation testing, we need to understand what kind of testing your application requires. So there are a couple of types of applications. So for example, the first and foremost is installation testing, right? So you need to be sure about the installation of your application, whether the behavior is smooth, it is getting installed correctly or no, whether any updates, if it is happening in your application, that is working perfectly fine with your application. So this is the first and foremost. I think in a lot of teams, sometimes we skip this important testing type because we usually start from functional testing. So we skip this testing type. So the next one is functional testing. In functional testing, we usually verifies our business flows or the application end-to-end flows. Apart from also, we test something like the how your application behaves if a call comes in between, like some of the interrupts also coming up, right? So if any message is coming up, how your application resumes after that. So those kind of testing we performed under functional. Then very much important is compatibility. So because considering the diverse market of mobile devices, mobile manufacturers, OSs, their different versions and different geographies, so we need to be sure that the mobile application which we are developing for a specific country, so what kind of devices are popular in that geography. So we need to test our application on all those um, devices or the versions, so we should have a good coverage there. The next one is localization testing, where we test for the language, the local sentiments, whether our application is aligning correctly. For example, if you are developing any application for UAE, right? So in case of Arabic, then your alignment of your application will also change. So you need to be check. You need to be have assurance that whether even if you are changing the language, even if you are changing the alignment of your application, nothing is happening, none of crash is observed in your application is not getting broken. So the another important is the security one, where you try to identify whether your application is not exposing any sensitive information or it has any vulnerabilities in the code. So that is also very important. uh, the most important thing in terms of user experience, so in terms of end user, right? So the most important thing is the usability testing as well as the performance testing. So because even if your application is having great features, there is of no use if the user experience is not good, if the user experience is not smooth. If because you might see in the App Store or Google Play Store, there are a lot of applications which are having very good features, but their ratings are very low. So if the rating is low, that is a kind of benchmark for the user to download it, right? So if the application is having 2 star or 3 star, then and if an application is having 4 stars, so definitely user will prefer the application which is having 4 star. So this is very important, where sometimes we lack, because we focus more on the functionality rather than the other aspects of the mobile testing. Then there are other types of testing as well. So for example, accessibility. In accessibility, you have to do, for example, if a person who is having disabilities is using your application, right? So he should be able to use your application correctly, even if you are not following or you are not complying the accessibility standards worldwide, you are liable to pay a heavy fines. It happens with many of the applications, so we need to test this one as well. And the last and very important is the real user conditions testing. So what happens in most of the organizations, we are doing our mobile testing in emulator or simulator. So we are, but yeah, those emulator or simulator is very good when terms, if you are testing your if you are doing unit testing on those. But if you want to test the real scenarios, like you want to test how my application will behave when a call or message come, how it will happen when a push notification is coming up, then you should test your application on a real device, so with real user conditions. So that is very important. Let's move forward. Yeah. So even if you are starting your mobile application testing, or you are already doing it, so you need to understand what kind of challenges you are facing right now. So we need to identify the problem statement what we have, right? Even if, for example, our current problem statement may be that right now my all the test cases are completely manual. Not a single test case is automated. There might be a challenge like your regression testing is taking a long time, for example 15 days or a 7 days, so you want to reduce that. There might be a scenario where you are having a lot of bug leakages in your production, right? So you want to improve the quality of your application. So you need to identify the problem statement, you need to note down your metrics, where you are stand correct right now, and then you need to make a future goal. For example, currently you are not having any automation tests in your testing team or in testing your strategy. So what you can do, you should start with small. You try to automate your smoke test first. Once you are sure about the smoke test is giving you a meaningful quality, as well as it is saving your time, then you can go ahead with the other type of testing, right? So you can automate then regression suits. So so in terms of coverage, in terms of automation, in terms of cost, so you need to identify your problem statement and then the future goals, then only you will be able to achieve your targets. Yeah. So once you are done with your identification of problem statement, then you need to know what are your required capabilities which you should have to achieve those goals, right? So in my experience, these are the pillar of success. So you need to maximize your digital test coverage, you need to maximize your percentage of automation, you need to maximize the fast feedback loop so that your developer should receive feedback early, and then you need to have all your automated tests in DevOps pipeline, so that your testing should be in shift left. You should get the feedback earlier, and the cost of fixing a bug should be less. So when you talk about maximize digital coverage, like in traditional approach, everyone is doing the static code coverage. We are doing a lot of use cases for functional performance, but where we are lacking in terms of platform coverage, like device model, device types, OS versions. Then we are also lacking in terms of testing real user scenarios, where network simulation is there, your location is there, network quality is there. For example, you want to test your application with 3G 4G on Wi-Fi, or even though 5G is also launched in some of the countries, so you want to test your application on 5G as well. So you need to test to increase the coverage, you need to have assurance that your application works in different scenarios. So you should include those as well in your testing strategy. You should increase the digital engagement, because the latest technologies like a fingerprint, microphone, camera, voice assistant, even a lot of applications are having video streaming, audio streaming. So you should test all those features to provide maximum digital coverage. And then the next one is maximizing the percentage of automation. So for example, right now you're having only 30% of your test cases as automated, right? So in terms of, so to increase the quality, to decrease the time of your releases, or for example you want to have a faster time to the market, you want to have more releases in a year, so this is very critical there. So you need to think about the parallel execution. You need to think about the CI integration of your open source tools with any of DevOps tool or any of the cloud-based tool. You need to think about the open source gaps which we are having with the tools like APM or Expresso, XUI test, Robotium. Lot of tools are there, whether it is Calabash, even Catalan is also there. So all those open source tools are having few downsides as well. So you need to think about how you will be testing the UX, how you will be testing the image injection in your application, how you will be testing the audio or video quality of streaming in your application, right? And the another important factor is uh, your automation scripts are of no use until unless those scripts are not stable enough. Because if those scripts are not stable, you might get false positives, right? So you might get false results as well. So you need to be sure that whatever you are writing, even though you are automating less, those scripts should be stable enough, and you can rely on those scripts. Yeah, so very important thing is feedback loop, where you should have a good reporting which will help you to do the root cause analysis. Because until and unless you won't be having a rich reporting with each and every step details, in case of a screenshot of your failures, the videos of lot of failures, so that will help you to do the root cause analysis in a faster way. So you need to have efficient feedback loops. That's where the cloud-based tools or any CI/CD tool or any reporting, third-party reporting capability will be very handy. So uh, yeah, so last one is quality across dev QA ops. So as I said, you should have you should have a maximum number of automated tests in your testing strategy. Even though you should be cautious that everything should not be automated. Before automating anything, you should do a feasibility analysis of your test cases. You need to identify which are the test cases which are very critical and which can be automated. So yeah, so if you then you should integrate your open source tools or your automation scripts with CI/CD pipelines, so that you can have nightly schedules. You can have um, CI triggered executions, which will give you the results early, as well as that will remove the dependency on the manual testers, right? So yeah, so these are few open source tools which are very popular in the market, even though I have listed only three, because APM is very popular. It has become a benchmark for open source tools in terms of mobile automation testing. So Expressive is very popular among the Android developers because it can be integrated in Android IDE. So they can write the unit test in a very efficient and a faster way. XUI test is for iOS applications. So XUI test is developed and maintained by Apple. So it can be integrated in Xcode IDE. So again, so Expresso and XUI test will be very handy if your developers are writing the test. But if your testers who are not having good programming knowledge, if they are writing your test cases, then you should avoid Expresso and XUI test. You should go with APM, which will be little bit friendly with them, and APM will also provide the flexibility of choosing different languages, right? So, and APM is also cross-platform mobile test automation framework. So, in my experience, I have worked with APM, Expresso, XR test also, but APM is having some limitations. Sometimes the setup is very clumsy. Sometimes the execution speed is a little bit because that depends upon the hardware of your system. So that sometimes that is very slow. So that's where, and all those, as I said, so until unless you won't integrate your open source rules like APM with cloud-based tools, you won't be able to achieve the right kind of testing coverage, because you won't be able to test the performance scenarios, you won't be able to test the real user scenarios. So that's where the cloud based tools are very handy. So yeah, the question comes here is why you should select a cloud-based tools, because we have a very mature open source tools in the market. They are providing a lot of coverage. But why should we go with cloud-based tools? Because cloud-based tools comes up with some of the cost, comes up with some of the licensing. But the benefits of using these tools are they provides you enterprise grade security. They provides you the scalability, the options to scale your execution on multiple devices wherever you required. It provides you flexibility as well, so you can test your application securely from anywhere in the world. Then you can also test all the real user scenarios using cloud-based tools. So most of the cloud-based tools are providing these functions where you can test those. You can also automate advanced automated scenarios because it provides you a system level control. You can do parallel executions on multiple devices, multiple versions. So uh, because all the cloud-based tools are having a very good device lab. Even the major factor is if you decide to have your own or in-house mobile app, so that comes up with few a few demerits, like you need to set up for your in-house device lab. You need to maintain your device says whenever any upgrade is happening, and you need to buy new devices whenever a new device is getting launched in the market. So that's where that becomes little tricky, and having a cloud-based tools is very easy because they provides you options to replace your existing devices with the new devices, or you can ask them for the upgradation of your existing devices. So yeah, that's where having cloud-based tool is very very good. So even you have options to integrate them with CI/CD tool chain. You can utilize your existing automated scripts which you have written in Selenium or Appium or Calabash. So they provides you to option to integrate with CI/CD tools. So yeah, these are some of the popular cloud-based tools: Browser Stack, Perfecto Mobile, Sauce Labs, Experitus. Every tool is having some cons, some pros. So according to a Forrester Wave report, this is the market presence of all these tools. Even Mabel is also getting very popularity in the recent times. You have Perfo software, which is Perfecto Mobile. You have Experitus, which is very very popular and the older one. And you have tools from Tricentis also, Source Labs. So be very cautious whenever you are selecting your tools, because there might be a different factors for you to select any cloud-based tools, because each and every tool is having different licensing cost. Each and every tool is having different subscription types. For example, they provides you a option of having public cloud. They have option of private, and they have option of hybrid cloud also. So private, in case of private cloud, if you are testing on a banking application where security matters most, right? So in that terms, you should go with private cloud because that provides you more security. Even those devices are very dedicated to your team and your organization. So you can do the factory reset once your testing is done. So your data will be very secure. Your data will not be shared with anyone. So that's where the cloud-based tools are very handy to choose. But yeah, before doing any selection, because each and every tools provide you option to do a free trial. Approximately they are giving you 120 minutes or 240 minutes of testing with different devices, so you must give a try before choosing any tool. So yeah, once you are done with the selection of your cloud-based tools, your testing pyramid is look like this. So for example, you should do your unit testing on simulator and emulator. And then for integration test, you should include real devices here. And your integration test should be CI triggered. It should not be manual driven. So because you might be having some scenarios related to real for example, you want to test something image injection, or you want to test some of the features like where your network is very low. You want to test, for example, your battery is very low, and how your
Sorry, is the vendor interrupting with me?
So, for example, if my battery backup of my device is very less, I will not be choosing that particular device. So, same goes with the your application also. If your application is consuming lot of battery, then user will uninstall it. So you need to be sure about those terms as well. So you need to do the performance, you need to do the security on real devices. For UI test, it should be done only on real devices. Production monitoring also should be done on real devices, and for functional and for non-functional testing, performance or security, you should include real devices. So this is how your typical testing pyramid for mobile testing should be. And yeah, once you have selected the devices, the may again a question is, how should you choose the devices? Which all devices you should include in your cloud-based tools to test on, so that you can have a proper coverage. So if you see here, mobile market share by country, right? So if you see in United States, the major market share is with the Apple, but it is not same with the other countries. So whenever you are testing any application, you are including the devices in your license subscription. You should be mindful of these steps. You should consider for which geography you have developed the application, and for which all countries you are going to cater, your application is going to cater, right? So you need to have those things in mindset, because if you see in India, that stats are very on a different side, right? So Apple is having a very less stake here. Xiaomi is having more. Samsung is having more. So your devices should be accordingly. You should change your devices whenever you are testing your application for India. Then you should update your devices. You should have more devices from Xiaomi or Samsung to have a proper test coverage. If you are doing for US or some other country, so you should decide your devices on the basis of mobile market share. And again, yeah, so these are the list of devices which every cloud service provider typically provides to the users. So for example, this list is of 32 devices. So top 10 devices are considering those geographies. For example, in US, these are the top 10 devices. It is not having the recently iPhone 12, but yeah, that should be also included here. But yeah, so if you see here, it includes different screen resolutions, it includes different OS versions also. And yeah, one more thing, whenever you are testing Android, right? So considering a different device manufacturers like Samsung or LG or Huawei, they have their own version of OS on above of vanilla Android version, right? So you need to have assurance that your applications are working on those OSs as well. So that's why your diversification is very important when you are doing the selection of those devices. So for example, here if you see, the essential 10 devices provides you approximately 30% coverage of the market. If you add next 15 devices, it will provide you approximately 80% of coverage. And if you add remaining 7 devices as well, so you will be having at least 99% assurance that your application will not break in any of the devices in any of the version. So this is the same with the other geographies as well. So if you see for UK, it is different, and if you see in India, so devices, the stakes of Samsung or Xiaomi devices are more in the essential category. So this is how you should select your devices. And yeah, once you are done with your selection of devices, this is how your typical DevOps pipeline should look like, considering the different stages. So here, if you see for unit testing, we can include simulator, emulator of all the types, iOS or Android. Then for acceptance testing, which you can say that your regression test or functional test, where you are doing, you should include your essential top 10 devices, and you should schedule them daily so that you have a proper feedback at the earliest. And in terms of acceptance testing, you should have more devices, because that's where you will be getting the coverage across the multiple devices. That's where you will get the assurance that your devices are working in approximately 80% of the devices which are available in the market. And you should also be very cautious about the production monitoring. So here, when you select the devices, your devices number should not be more. It should not be more than 2 or 3 devices, because otherwise it will unnecessarily put more load on your application. But yeah, for getting the confirmation, for getting the assurance that your application is working perfectly fine in production, you should have a smoke test kind of thing, or your critical end-to-end flows automated, which you should execute on the production environment, and those executions should be hourly or after every 2 or 3 hours. So yeah, that was the theory part, and now I will be demoing using Perfecto Mobile Cloud.
Yes. Uh, I
Any
just
question
want,
till now? Yeah.
yeah. I just want to repeat that if you have any questions, you can drop a message on our chat on Zoom, or just ask. Meanwhile, Devendra is preparing the demo. Thank you for the first type for the first part with uh, theory and the slides. For me, the most valuable is the knowledge that you can just pick up 10-15 devices and you are more or less good in terms of coverage. You don't need to look at tons of devices that are available.
Yeah. So yeah, and shall I continue with the demo, or are we waiting for the questions?
I think you can continue, and the
Okay.
questions would be
Yeah,
maybe
sure. And we can
at the
take
end.
all the
Yeah.
question at the end. Yeah. So yeah, so for demo purpose, I'm using the Perfecto mobile here. So this is how I'm using the trial version, so there will be few limitations in this demo. But yeah, in your subscription, you will not have those limitations. But this is how every typical cloud-based tool look alike. They will provide you a device lab where you will have option to select from the different devices. So for example, if you see here, I have approximately 32 devices in trial version, which I can select, and I can do the testing on them. You can check all the information is available, which iOS version is there on those devices, what are the device ID, and these are basically the data center of those, because each and every cloud based service provider is having their devices based out of some of the data centers. So these are those names. So let me select one of the devices. Yeah, so along with some of the benefit which we have in cloud-based tools, there are few downsides as well. For example, sometimes because to use cloud-based tools, because you are using over the web, so you need to have a good internet connections at your site. You need to have a good bandwidth, and sometimes the streaming will be little bit slow. You might feel a lag there, but yeah, overall, when you want to achieve a good coverage, then cloud-based tools are very handy. So these are basically the real devices which are based out of some of if you see here, this is based out of US East data center of Perfecto. So you can check the details of devices here. You can check the capabilities. For example, these are the capabilities which you should add in your automation scenarios. If you want to automate anything or you want to execute anything on this devices, you have options to select between different languages. So automatically you will have the capabilities which you can directly add into your automation scripts. You provide your cloud credentials, and you will be good to go. So here, because of some limitation, I will be able to show you only manual testing parts. So you can you can install any application, you can see the existing application of this device, you can provide any action on the device, you can open anything, you can for example, let me do one installation of one application. Yeah, let's install this. So application will be installed on this device, and then yeah, because I selected, once the installation is done, just open it. Let me, you can use your keyboard as well, you can use the keyboard of your devices, so this is compatible with your system keyboard as well.
Can you install applications only from Google Play, or you
Yes,
can
we
test
can, we can install from Google Play Store as well.
and any A- APK file also, right?
Any APK, any IPA file, yeah.
And this Perfecto application, is it something that they provide just for the
Just
demo?
for the testing purpose, yeah.
Okay. Devendra,
Yeah.
did you try other cloud-based options? Can you
Yes.
just elaborate once again? For example, this Perfecto is better in terms of something,
Yes,
and
yes, yes. So, yeah, definitely.
okay,
So
thank you.
we have approximately 5 to 6 major competitors in cloud-based tools. So you have Sauce Lab, you have Browser Stack, you have Lambda Test, you have Xperi Test, you have Perfecto. So each and every tool is having some benefits. For example, in terms of Perfecto, you have good reporting. So the reporting of Perfecto is very rich compared to other tools. If you go by Browser Stack, so the cost of Browser Stack licensing is little less than other tools. If you go by Xperi, so yeah, so the Xperi lacks little bit in terms of testing real user scenarios, and the yeah, Source Lab is also good for devices, but yeah, sometimes happens that whenever a new version or a new devices comes up, sometimes there is a difference between these tools. So the support for, in case of Perfecto, why I choose it, because in case of Perfecto, you can have the access to beta versions of OS or the devices. So sorry for that. Yeah. So
It's okay. We should have more participants from kids.
yeah, that was my side. Yeah. So yeah, where I was, yeah. So in terms of in case of browser stack, right? So browser stacks also provide you virtual emulators and simulators to access, that provides you your web browsers window. You can test on multiple OSs like MacBooks or Windows with different versions. So yeah, there are some benefits. I'm thinking of having a dedicated next session where I will be comparing all those tools, where I will also show you some integration in terms of real automation. So I'm in touch with these the support team of these tools. So if I'll get the option to access automation, then definitely we can have that session differently,
Would be
because
great.
that
Yes,
will
thank
take
you.
little bit of time. Yeah, because there are multiple factors where you should because in terms of source lab, because source lab is better in terms of the streaming is very good. You will not feel that much lag which you feel here in Perfecto. But yeah, so each and every tools you need to compare in terms of cost, in terms of the features, in terms of the real user scenarios, in terms of the support which they provide you for object spy, or in terms of the support they provide you for their standalone automation. So as Perfecto provides you that. So yeah, every tool is having some benefits, some demerits. Yeah. So yeah, so this is where, for example, you can interact with the device. You can capture, inject any image here. So yeah, so you can use your camera. You can inject the image. This is not possible with emulator or simulator, right? So you can test these kind of scenarios. So you have, let's add one expense. So basically
Sorry,
you can.
I see the raised hand. Mira, you can unmute yourself and just ask the question.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to know, does Perfecto support Apple Pay and Google Pay testing? Because I know for browser stack it's not possible.
Perfecto supports that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, so you can see that that expenditure has been saved here. You can see the details. You can view the attachment which we have taken recently, and then you have options to inject image. You have options to do the inject fingerprinting. You have options to do set a location of your device. You can, for example, this was in US, so I can set it. You can change the location of that device, so now device will behave like it is in Mumbai. You can change the network as well. There are few default profiles in Perfecto, for example 3G, 5G, and you can customize those profiles with adding some latency or some packet loss. For example, you want to test your application if there is some certain percentage of packet loss is happening, right? Or if there is some certain bandwidth, so all those kind of customization you can do it here. So yeah, you can see these icons are disabled, like sending a SMS or the call options, because this particular device is not having the same. So in trial versions you don't have devices with the same, but in your license version you will have devices with the same. Or so you can request them to connect with the mobile network, or you can request them to connect with the Wi-Fi, so that you can test on different variances. So you can test your application on landscape mode also, for example, like this. So if your application is compatible with portrait as well as landscape, you can collect the vitals like memory uses of your application. All those things you can collect, you can download for your future reference. You can collect the device logs as well, which you can share with your developers in case of any crash observed or in case of any failure. This will be very handy in when you will be doing the root cause analysis. You can have text analysis, for example, if you want to identify view expense. So let me type. So you have different commands here. You can check that whether it is finding it or no. So yeah, so that element has been highlighted, that you can do that, and you can create automation script for that particular command that will be auto generated here. You can see that. Apart from that, it provides you a link to contact support of Perfecto from here. It provides you options to do image analysis. It provides you options to do for object tree, for object spy, for example. you want to see all the buttons available in this particular screen, you can filter that. So this is the button, and you will have a smart locator which you can use in your automation scripts. And it will also show you other available properties which are available with that particular button. So these things are very handy when you are doing automation on real devices, when you are using the cloud-based tools. So yeah, and once your execution is done, you can, for example, we were doing the manual testing right here, so we can either mark it pass or fail with depending upon our results. For example, if I marked it pass, and I have released the devices, right? So a report will be generated. We can check the report of our execution. So in report, you will have the screenshot, you will have the video of screenshot of failures, video of your executions, which is very handy because sometimes we face issue that you won't be able to reproduce some of the issues, right? So the pattern we won't be able to identify. So that's where the video of report execution is very handy. So you can check this. This takes a while because it is generating screenshots, it is generating the video. So yeah, so report is available. You can check the video of your execution. You can check each and every step which you have performed on the device. And yeah, and you can also, for example, now I have released the device, but you can check the live stream for if the Perfecto is integrated with automation scripts. You can see the live streaming of all the executions which are happening on different devices. You can check that. You can have a CI dashboard where the results for different jobs or different batches will be displayed. You will be having a heat map there. For example, you are doing your execution on 10 to 15 devices, and one specific device is giving you a failure, so that you can easily identify. So all those features are there. Yeah, so that's where the rich reporting is very good in term for Perfecto. For other tools are lacking in that. But yeah, each and every tool is having some benefits, some demerits. It's up to us, it ups to the cost which we can support. So yeah, so depending upon our requirements, we should select the tools. Yeah, that that was the presentation which I want to give. So any question, any concern, yeah, I'm open to that.
First of all, thank you for covering this topic because, from my perspective, I don't have any knowledge, any experience regarding the mobile apps, and my experience is only when I tested one app manually using the real device because all the um, emulators, I would say, they suck. I don't know any emulators that will work like predictably and you will have something meaningful from it. And when I tried testing manually, a lot of headache is connected with moving parts. Like you have to continuously move the data to the app, to the phone to install the app, upgrades, blah 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 blah. And if you can just uh, cancel all that stuff, you already have some benefits in this cloud-based testing because you can skip it, you have drag and drop, blah blah, it's automatically installed. You don't have to plug it for battery. So a lot of benefits from my side. So thank you very much for the covering the this topic, and I'm looking forward to hear the next one where you will show the integration between these cloud-based tools and some automation frameworks. And just want to encourage people to ask any questions because we are open to discuss. the topic. Don't be afraid, don't be shy. Just say it loud and clearly.